Greetings, my name is Isaiah, I'm 16 years old, and I'm a co-founder of EdAnime Productions. Welcome to So You Want to Be an Entrepreneur, Episode 2. In Episode 1, I explained the process of starting your own company. Within that process, one of the steps was to decide which type of company you want to have, and to go register it at even your local state office building or online. In this episode, I'm going to explain the different types of companies you can have. I'm going to talk about some of the more popular ones because there are many that you can have. The first one I'm going to talk about is an LLC, which is a limited liability company. This is actually the type of company that EdAnime Productions started off as. When we registered, we received our articles of organization. Within the LLC has two main advantages, which are one, in the case of a lawsuit or in the case of having a paid debt, the entity will take responsibility for that instead of the owners. Another advantage is that it's a pass-through tax entity, which means that the profits of the company is passed through the entity to the owners who pay taxes on it. The major disadvantage of an LLC is that there are no shareholders, which could really limit the growth potential of the company. Next, I'm going to talk to you about corporations. There are two different types of corporations, C corporations and S corporations. S corporations is the type of company EdAnime Productions is now. When we registered to become this type of company, we received our articles of incorporation. But first I'm going to talk to you about C corporations. There's a main advantage of a C corporation is that you can have you have an unlimited amount of shareholders. And with these shareholders, they can be from all around the world. They can be any nationality. The major disadvantages of a C corporation is first that it's taxed double, meaning that the entity is taxed and also the owners are taxed individually. Another disadvantage is that with a C corporation, the government has many regulations towards this type of company, so it can make it difficult to operate. And next, with the S corporation, there are a few differences between the two. With the S corporation, you're limited to 100 shareholders who must be U.S. citizens. Another major difference is that with S corporations, they're pass-through tax entities like an LLC, whereas C corporations are taxed double. Next, I'm going to talk to you about partnerships. There are two types of partnerships. There's general partnerships and there are limited partnerships. Both of these partnerships are pass-through tax entities like LLCs and S corporations. But the difference between a general partnership and a limited partnership is that with general partnerships, the management responsibilities and the liability is divided equally between the partners. With limited partnerships, it's also known as a limited liability partnership because all the partners have limited liability into the management and the liabilities. Lastly, I'm going to talk to you about sole proprietorships. Sole proprietorships are different from all the other ones, even though they're also pass-through tax entities like LLCs, S corporations, and partnerships. But the difference is that sole proprietorships, they're not really an entity themselves. It's simply a person who owns a business and assumes all the responsibility for the debt of that company. So the major disadvantage of a sole proprietorship is that in the case of a lawsuit or in the case of having a paid debt, the sole proprietor or owner will have to come out of pocket to pay that instead of having an entity to pay it instead of the person. So the major advantage is that it's easy to create, it's easy to start. And this wraps up our video. Please stay tuned next week for episode 3, where I will walk you through the process of obtaining an EIN number and a state tax ID number. Peace.